So I'm Dave Moss. I'm a recruiter at Aardvark Swift, but this isn't a recruitment chat. It's an opportunity for me to speak to people within the industry, give insights for job seekers, people joining it, and also the expectations of what happens when you join a company. Ultimately, we want to bring a bit of positivity out there. There's a lot of negativity there. So who better to start with than Frida? Frida, why don't you give us an introduction?
Lovely. Yeah, my name is Frida, and I work with HR here at the games company 10 Chambers in Stockholm. Yeah, I don't know what more you want me to say.
So how long you been at 10 Chambers for?
I've been working here for the past soon to be 3 years, and it's been a ride for sure. We've been growing a lot since I joined, so it's been marvelous in that sense.
Yeah. It was tiny when I first started speaking with you guys, and what you've grown into and what you're growing into is pretty spectacular. But before we go into too much about now, what about the past? What was your journey to get into 10 Chambers in the games industry?
I can't say that I've been so much passionate about games. Maybe you should be. Um, but my background has always been in recruiting from start, and also, heavy, massive recruiting, which has been one of the key things with me. Talking to a lot of people has been fun the past year. So I've been working with talent acquisition for some time. And then 10 Chambers popped up, and I felt it was cool with games. And
Yeah,
it also felt like a cool, they were really going for it and had the plan on growing massively in terms of numbers of employees. So I felt it was a cool opportunity.
definitely. So just out of interest, when you went from talent acquisition from a different industry into this, is there much difference to what you were used to before?
Um, in a way, it is like I always focus on tech, or almost always focus on tech. So tech is tech, and a lot of people in tech is close to, like, they are very similar in many ways. The difference probably is that there's so, like, diversity, a lot of people from different backgrounds and different parts of the world. And I think that's the main difference, because I've been mostly focusing on Sweden or Europe before, but now we have people from all over the world. I think that's a big difference, which is awesome in many ways, because you learn so much about other people's cultures and background overall. So I would say that is the main difference.
I totally agree. When I came into games, I didn't really know anything. I stopped playing games because I had children and they take up a lot of time. And I come from an industry which was very high pace, high volume, very little quality control. And then I started in this sort of world. And I said it before, the way it felt like I'd been behind this door, which I didn't know existed for so long. And when I opened it joining the games industry, it felt like the world just opened up, like the world of possibility, engagement, positivity, people doing the job they've always wanted to do and they love it. It's such an incredible industry, isn't it?
Yeah, and just to add on that, I think that's really true, because here, you, like, in the games industry, everyone is actually passionate about your work.
Yeah.
I'm not here to trash talk any other industries, but if you work on a bank with tech, it's not the same, because you might not be as, like, driven and passionate about the end product. But here, everyone is so keen on, that end goal, which is, of course, it brings a lot of problems as well. um, but in the end, it's so worth it, and so fun to see people actually happy with their work in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose with the team, what you've built, I mean, we've worked in the past together. I fully understand 10 Chambers and the team you've built, which is incredible. But why don't you tell people about 10 Chambers a little bit and what makes it so special?
Yeah, I don't know if you're so special, but I think so in many ways. The Chambers has been always uh, like, the fundament of everything has been that it comes from founders. This has been in the industry for many years. They have a lot of baggage from the industry, with a lot of heavy overwork and people not really care about each other, which is of course very sad to hear about. I wasn't part of that kind of culture, and I've never seen it, but it's very hard to hear about all these old histories. And I think that is what they're trying to avoid with 10 Chambers, having a culture where we depend on each other heavily is important. And when we've been recruiting overall, I would say that, of course, we want people that is really good in their own expertise. But we have also been focusing on hiring people that is also very keen on working together with others. I always say that we try to avoid the talented douchebags. um, and I think you know what that means.
Yeah.
Be a really good, like a programmer, like maybe the best programmer in the world, but the person is really focusing on their own expertise, only care about their own area, and don't really see the need of collaboration, or even maybe seeing like where their systems should also connect with the rest of the project. I think that has been one of the key things. Like, we are staying away from them, and I've actually declined a few of them. Like, I've met probably one of the best programmers in the world, but feeling they are not keen on working with others, and then it won't fit in the end. And yeah, so I think that has been the key to success when we've been hiring a lot for 10 Chambers. And I think that is what makes us unique in many ways, that we rather take time to find the right employees instead of, rushing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose from those little seeds, what it's grown into, that is all on the back of the people you brought in. It is about collaboration, like you say, and I always get that vibe from you guys. Everyone, when on social media or anything, when 10 Chambers are mentioned, it's all, wow, this is amazing. The collaboration stuff you're doing, I saw the art collaboration last week, which were released. And then there's the games, which there's not that many co-op multiplayer games out there. And GTFO gave it a real good stab. But now you're working on something new, something completely different. Are you allowed to say anything about it?
I can say a few things, I guess. So the new game is called The Wolves. And as you said, we are very focusing on making collaborative games, and hence also being collaborative as a company. So this new game is it is a co-op FPS game, but we are also getting back to our roots because we have a lot of roots from the Payday franchise. A few of our co-founders actually was the brains behind Payday, the Heist, and Payday 2. So we're kind of going back to the heist roots and making a new heist game, but we're kind of challenging what a heist could be, and a bit of a like futuristic techno thriller setting, I would say. GTFO, I don't know how much you know about GTFO in general, but it's a very niched game. This new game is not as niched, and it's not as hardcore. In GTFO, it's not really forgiven. You die a lot. But then
not to mention it's terrifying. It is a scary game to play.
It is for sure. A lot of panics attack when you drop down there. But I mean, this new game is not as niched in that sense. It's broader, and I am very excited about it. Like, even if I'm not like a hardcore gamer, I think this new game will be really good. But also because I know that I work with very talented people, of course.
Of course. So going on the industry, obviously you're based out in Stockholm, Sweden. The world of games is a bit turbulent at the minute. There's some places which haven't felt the effects. There's some places which have felt it really hard, like North America, the UK. What's it been like in Sweden as a whole?
I think we have been going, like, overall, I think we've been doing better than most other countries and then places. I know a lot of people, like a lot of companies have, of course, maybe stopped hiring for now, but there has been less layoffs overall, I would say, which is very fun. And I've also seen that a lot of after this impact or the entire effect in the industry, I think a lot of there will be a lot of new game studios popping up actually. People that had to leave and now is trying something else and doing something by themselves. So
Yeah.
even if it's been some rough times in the games industry, I personally think that it will only flourish in a year from now. I think people will be in a different kind of environment. So
Yeah, and I think a lot of people need to hear that, because it's what I hear a lot when I speak to people. There is a lot of negativity, and there's instantly when layoffs happen, it's really hard for people to go through that. But from it, that turbulence, something new is created, and we're seeing it everywhere now. New game studios popping up, and they're really focused, like energized by the prospect. And it's almost like a two fingers up to what happened to them before, and that's why it's cyclical. Ultimately, this has happened before, not to this extent, but when the churn has happened, new things come through, and they tend to overtake what they were replacing. So, I see it as that has been a major positive, definitely.
mm.
How have 10 Chambers been affected? Have you just kind of been keeping things locked in?
Yeah, I'm very glad to say that we haven't really been impacted by the rest of the industry. How we have structured it is that we have always put like a cap on the amount of employees that we want to hire. So when I started 3 years ago, we were maybe 20, 25 employees or so. And already then they said like, we will not become more than 120 employees in total. And I think that has also made us very aware of, okay, what are we hiring for and planning for future and all of that. So in that sense, we're keeping to the plan, and it's very nice to actually not feeling restricted to everything, and that we can actually keep hiring, even though we're soon reaching, that end goal with 120 employees. So
it's really
fantastic.
It's interesting, isn't it? A lean company, because like a lot of the studios who have made mass layoffs, they were bulging at the seams with people, and so I think personally it seems good, and it's the right way to go, especially in this current market and the global economy and what have you. So that's good.
Yeah.
On the oh, sorry.
No, but I mean, sometimes less is more. And even if you, I think, and maybe that's the problem. I'm not going to speak for the entire industry, of course, but maybe that has been the problem, that we have been having a lot of money and, hiring a lot instead of having less is more kind of thinking, because sometimes having more brains doesn't necessarily mean that the game in the end will be better. So,
sure, got a plan, stick to it, release the game, make many more. Good.
Exactly.
So on the hiring piece, obviously you are the first point of contact for any applicant. For people looking for a job, what sort of advice would you be able to give in terms of what you look for from a first application? Are there any big no-nos? What don't you want to see?
Well, it's a big question, because we not only hire for skills, but also personality. But, in the first stage, we can't really judge the personality. What I can say is that I will never read a personal letter, so don't read or write them, because
That's so contentious, Frida.
I know, but don't waste your time, because I'm not gonna read them. I'm only reading resumes. I'm sorry, but I'm one of those. But I think that's good, because the personal letters doesn't make any difference these days. So don't write them. Apart from that, there's so many good, so much good help out there with how to create a good resume. I think there as well, less is more. Keep it slim, keep it down, and not make it too broad. But the issue is that, of course, with resumes overall, don't just write, okay, game programmer, because that
Yeah.
could be very wide. Please write like what areas, what you want to focus on, those kind of things. Another thing that is really crucial for me is hyperlinks to portfolios.
Ah, right.
It's such a it's such a small thing, but when you have to copy paste and you paste the wrong, and and you end up somewhere else, it's awful. So how hyperlinks to your portfolio, that is a key. Then you will make me happy.
And that's all anyone needs to do, Frida.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's a few, I would say.
So with the CV, the resume, I've seen it so many times where people apply for a job what we're advertising, and you've really got to scrutinize the CV to try and figure out are they right or not. I mean, what's your preference? I mean, I presume you will still do that anyway, and anyone you think might have the right skill set, you'll have an intro call. But would you say looking at job specs individually, tailoring your CV or resume to highlight what you've done against that would put you in a better stead than if you just put a load of stuff what you've done in the past?
Um, I've seen, like, it differs, of course, but I would say one of the key things I've seen is that a person has a very slim CV, and then in the end it says, if you want to read more specifics about what I've done, you can go to this document. And then they have like a long of very specific what they've been into and stuff. And I think that was really good, actually, because you get a great overview, and then it says to read more, you can go here, and then and it doesn't have to customize then, because the resume can be same for whatever company you apply to, as long as it's the right fit for the role. So I think that's also very good, because then the first impression will be a very clean and good CV, and then you can read more about it if you feel like it's a fit as well. So I think that is a good way of doing
I've
it.
never heard of that. That's impressive. I like it.
Yeah. Or I've seen it once or twice, so it's not that common. But do it, everyone. Everyone should do it. Especially if you have like tons of experience. That is very, very good to do.
So what's the process once that CV's sent through and you've taken the time? And the reason why I ask that is because obviously we have to reject candidates who apply for jobs, and part of that is we know who is getting past the first vetting stage with partners who we work with and who isn't, and you've got to make hard decisions sometimes. So, I mean, I presume that's something what happens with you quite a lot. But after that vetting process has happened, what's the process there at 10 Chambers?
I like to have a very slim process, but also very quick process. Sometimes it's not possible because, you have very busy managers, but from an HR perspective, it's important to get like communication very fast. So I always try to answer everyone within a week, even if you're declined or moving forward in the process. And if you haven't got a respond within a week, I always send, hey, just so you know, we haven't forgotten you, we are working on it, sorry, because I think it's important.
Yeah, for sure.
But the first stage in our recruitment process is basically a interview with me, often, and the recruiting manager. And it's often a very short conversation, like 45 minutes, get to know each other, very basic. But I think that's pretty, I don't like the feeling of being interrogated. So I'm trying to stay away from that, especially in the first interview round. I'm trying to actually talk a lot from my side, like give the candidate a lot of information about the company and all of that, and about us and how we work. Because, it should be a fit from both sides. And then mostly talking about, okay, what are your keen interests? What do you want to work with? That have you worked with before? Very not go into detail. It's like a programmer role. We're not going into super tech focused questions. Of course, we're going to say oh, have you worked with C# or whatever it might be, but not going into details. And if you move away or move over to the next one, it's often a test, if it's an art test or a programming test that is specifically for that role. And then our experts in the area is looking into that one. And if you move over to the next round, it's the last interview that is around 2 hours, more into like nitty-gritty level and talking about all tech. But it could also be, you know, a lot about culture, values, how the person wants to collaborate, and what kind of person that is in you know, in a group, and those kind of questions. And that's basically it. And of course, like reference stage after that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it is a very slim process, you know, 2 interviews, often in some cases been 3, and 1 test. That is the overlook of the process.
It's an interesting one. And I think the 2-stage process is king at the minute. Because, yeah, there's a lot of people looking for work at the minute, but that also means that they're going to be speaking to other people. And I know from experience, your process is pretty thorough. But at the end of that, people are always quite engaged in the prospect of joining with you guys. So yeah, 2-stage interview. Everyone should do that.
I agree. I do. I do not understand how you need like 8 interviews with maybe 15 different people. I do not understand that. And how can 15 people come to the same conclusion? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. And it's about momentum, isn't it? You know, you want engagement from the person who might be joining you. You want them to feel bought into and acknowledged and seen. And, you know, if that process can be relatively quick and everything's done right, then at the end of it, they'll want to join you as much as you want them to join.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And I mean, like, especially in the games industry, because there's so much about passion here. So
Yeah.
if it's the right game for the right candidate, then everything else will be succeeding, I think.
Tell me something positive about this industry that no one's talking about at the minute.
I think we hit the rock bottom, and it's only getting better from now. So we have a bright future in the games industry. I can feel it.
What do you wish you knew when you started in the industry, what you know now?
Not hold back on my personality. I think you shouldn't fit a box of your like typical role. I think your personality should be able to shine as well in your work.
What's the most rewarding part of the job?
I would say seeing people grow, even if it's from like a junior becoming an intermediate, but it could also be learning new skills or traits overall.
Have there been many changes in trends since you joined?
You focus more on the people rather than the skills overall. People actually caring about who you hire, not just what you hire. Yeah.
What key trait do you look for when making new hires for your studio?
People that wants to collaborate.
Yes. Now we're getting it. What is your favorite snack?
Oh my God. I would say everything wine gums.
Wine gums.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them.
Uh,
It was
that-
pretty much brought
Don't sound like you love them.
Well, they've changed since I was a kid. We used to have these really hard ones,
But I
and they
like
just
it.
softened over time.
You know, I actually sometimes I buy it, open the bag, and then leave it for 2 weeks, so it's like really hard, and then I eat them.
That is commitment, Frida. I love
I
it.
know. Yeah, I know. But they're the best after 2 weeks in the open air, I would say.
Well, yeah. Who cares about bacteria?
It's only my bacteria. It's fine.